In a quiet, fancy neighborhood, the low sound of car engines is a normal part of the evening. One of those cars is a shiny black sports car, its smooth surface glowing in the afternoon sunlight. Behind the wheel sits Malik Owens, a calm and confident man in his mid-30s. He wears a sharp suit and carries himself with quiet strength. Malik worked hard to get here. He grew up in a rough part of town, where chances were hard to find. Now, this car is more than just a ride. It's proof of how far he's come. But what Malik doesn't know is that today's drive will take a turn, one that will test his patience, challenge his pride, and change everything. The road through the quiet neighborhood is mostly empty, until blue and red lights suddenly flash in Malik's rearview mirror. A loud siren cuts through the air. Malik calmly pulls his car to the side of the road. His heart feels heavy with a feeling he knows too well. This has happened before, even though it's been years. A police officer steps out of the patrol car. He looks about 40, with a serious face and one hand resting on his belt. He walks slowly toward Malik's window, eyes scanning the car with suspicion. "License and registration," he says sharply. Malik says nothing and hands over his papers. The officer looks at them, then frowns. "This car really yours?" he asks. "Yes, officer," Malik replies quietly. The officer doesn't say much. He turns and walks back to his police car, leaving Malik sitting in silence. The minutes feel like forever. Then the officer returns. This time his face looks even colder. "Step out of the car," he says firmly. Malik's stomach tightens, but he stays calm. He moves slowly and keeps his hands where the officer can see them. As Malik steps out, the officer adds, "We'll see about this fleet." Malik stands by his car while the officer walks around it slowly, checking every detail. Other cars drive by and a few people stare. Malik feels the same old sting of being judged. A successful black man treated like a criminal just for driving a nice car? It's not the first time. The officer circles the car with a sharp eye, then stops to ask, "What do you do for a living?" His voice sounds doubtful. Malik answers calmly, "I run a logistics company." The officer raises an eyebrow. "Logistics, huh? That pays for a car like this?" Malik keeps his cool and replies, "Yes, officer, it does." But the officer doesn't look convinced. He keeps inspecting the car like he's hoping to find something wrong. After a few moments, he says, "Wait here," and heads back to his cruiser. Inside Malik's car, his phone buzzes. It's a message from one of his employees. "Boss, everything okay?" Malik quickly types back, "Delayed. Handle the shipment." He looks back at the officer, still waiting, still being judged. The officer returns, this time holding a printout in his hand. "This says you own multiple vehicles," he says, looking suspicious. "Mind explaining how someone like you manages that?" Malik feels his chest tighten, but stays calm. "I worked hard. I started with nothing and built my own company. These cars are part of that success." The officer stares at him, clearly doubting his story. He steps closer and says in a low voice, "Guys like you don't usually make it here without cutting corners." Malik looks him in the eye and asks, "What are you trying to say, officer?" Instead of answering, the officer calls for backup. Soon, another police car shows up. A younger officer steps out. He looks nervous as he hears what's going on and walks over to Malik. The younger officer walks up to Malik with a softer tone. "Sir, we're gonna need to ask you a few more questions. It's just part of the process." Malik nods, but keeps his eyes on the older officer, who is now digging through his car. "Is that really necessary?" Malik asks. The older officer doesn't answer, and mumbles, "We'll see what we find." The younger officer looks uncomfortable. "Do you have proof that you own your business, Mr. Owens?" Malik calmly opens the glove box and pulls out a folder. Inside are contracts and business licenses. He hands them over. As the younger officer flips through the papers, his eyes widen. "This all checks out," he says. But the older officer isn't satisfied. "Still doesn't explain the fleet. Something feels off," he mutters. Things get worse when a tow truck shows up. The older officer looks at Malik and says, "We're taking the car until we can prove everything checks out." Malik steps forward, his voice calm but firm. "That's not right. I've given you all the documents you asked for." The officer gives a small smirk. "We'll see about that." Malik doesn't back down. He takes out his phone and dials a number. "I'd like to report an incident," he says. A few minutes later, a black SUV pulls up. A woman steps out, sharp suit, confident walk. She's Malik's lawyer. She walks straight up to the officers. "This man is being treated unfairly," she says loudly. The older officer looks nervous now. Malik turns to him and asks, "Would you have done all this if I looked different?" The younger officer looks away, clearly uncomfortable. The lawyer steps forward, her voice strong. "You need to explain why you're harassing this man without cause." The older officer stammers, struggling to find words. Malik stands tall and says, "Officer, would you treat me this way if I looked different?" The younger officer looks down, clearly feeling ashamed. The older officer tries to stay calm, but starts to lose his confidence. Malik's lawyer pulls out her phone and shows pictures. "That fleet you're so suspicious about? Here are photos of Malik's business cars," she says. The older officer is speechless. The younger officer finally speaks up. "I'm sorry, sir. This shouldn't have happened." The tension fades as the older officer's actions get reported. He is suspended and an investigation begins. Malik's calm strength made a difference. The whole situation ends with the older officer facing a formal complaint. His actions are being reviewed, and he gets suspended while an investigation takes place. The younger officer, watching Malik's calm and respectful way of handling everything, decides he wants to change how he does his job. He promises to treat people with more fairness and respect. Malik doesn't stop there. He uses what happened to speak out against racial profiling. He talks at community meetings and shares his story with the media. His message is clear. Success doesn't protect you from prejudice, but dignity and hard work can help you overcome it. Malik's business keeps growing, and he helps young entrepreneurs so they don't face the same problems alone. This story isn't just about Malik Owens. It shows the deep problems many people face every day because of bias. It reminds us that no matter how successful you become, you might still face unfair treatment. But it also shows how success can give you the power to fight back. Malik's story encourages everyone to stand strong against injustice. He hopes that by sharing his experience, people will work together to build a world where fairness and equality are real for everyone. His journey is a powerful example of hope and change. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe to Stories Beyond Shades for more real stories that open minds and inspire action.